Harrison Barnes. You're listening to 3-Point Conversion.
Start with Sam Purley.
Hey, JB, hope you're doing well. Going back to the Cavs game, I think at halftime or in the second half, you guys had 60 points. It seemed you kind of find your offensive rhythm in that performance. Did you feel like anything from the second half of that Cleveland game you really carried over and had kind of the big outing against the Celtics yesterday afternoon?
I think for us, more than anything offensively, it's just keeping the pace. More than anything, it's nothing more, nothing less. Make or miss, we got to play with great pace, and that's ball movement, that's body movement, that's getting the ball out early, and really keeping a next play mentality. It's more about our mentality right now offensively. Our guys are trying to do the right thing, and I think in the Cleveland game we said let's get back to playing with more pace, and I think we've done that for the most part. So even though we got good shots in Cleveland, we didn't knock them down at the rate we hit last night, and I think that was the big thing. We were still trying to play the right way against Cleveland. I think we took it to another level last night in our commitment to ball movement and pace, and we got to stay there. That's where it's got to be for us.
Thank you.
Let's go to Rick and then Will.
Hey, JB, after the game, I just realized the numbers that Cody Martin had piled up yesterday with 13, 10, and 5.
How about that? Not one person asked about Cody Martin.
How would you describe how he has evolved over the last year?
Well, I think it's been an up and down year for Cody Martin. It's clear. I mean, he's been in the rotation, he's been out, but he's a winner. He impacts the game on both sides of the ball. I thought his energy is infectious. He makes winning plays, and he plays a role. He plays a role for us, which is defend, rebound, run, play with great pace, bring a physicality and an energy every single night, and that's his role. That's his role right now. We've seen him be a playmaker in the past. Going back to last year, he was more of a second side playmaker for us last season. Obviously, with our playmaking this year, Rick, he's not had those touches as much. He just hasn't. Now with the injuries, we're seeing, Miles's ability to play make at a higher level. I think, Cody Martin has taken a step as well, and Terry Rozier as well. Tay's always kind of stayed in that range, but I think Cody Martin's kind of gone back to a little bit more playmaking for us than what we saw, similar to what we saw at the end of last year. But it always starts with his defense and energy. That's the number one thing he brings us.
When you describe him as your best pound for pound defender, what distinctively does he do for your defense?
Well, he picks up the ball. He's one of the guys that can guard the ball with pressure, which is significant in this league. It's significant to be able to put pressure on the ball and stay in front of the ball. We don't have a roster full of those type of, players. So he's important for us in our defense. On the ball, he sets the tone for us. He's got great weak side awareness. Obviously, he's been taught well over his years, coming out of college. As you saw yesterday, just an example is the charge he took, right? He can make those multiple plays. He challenged shots at the rim on the weak side. He takes great pride in his weak side defense and his game plan defense. So his understanding of the game plan, his understanding of who he's guarding, his ball pressure, his ability to rebound, his ability to be on and off the ball defensively and have an impact is significant for us. And then he also allows us to switch. So he can guard basically 1 through 4, and even 1 through 5 last night, we were okay. So he switched on to Tristan Thompson a few times and we guarded him. He has that ability. So he allows our defense to get more versatile, and switch even 1 through 5 at times.
Go to Will and then Rod.
JB, you said yesterday that you'd know more today about LaMelo. What more can you tell us about him and his availability for the week, and anything also you can update us on Malik as well as Gordon?
Yeah, both guys they weren't going live and have contact today, but they were on the floor. They got workouts in, both of them. I think the next step is really getting some live play for both of them. That's going to be the next step. We're not there yet. So we have some time, and hopefully the sooner the better on both of them. They're kind of in the same range right now. Different injuries, obviously, but, we're hoping to get some live play for both of them in the next couple of days. There's no guarantee of that happening tomorrow or Wednesday, but that's the hope. That's the next step for both the players.
And just from a commonality standpoint, the first Milwaukee game might have been the best you had looked up until last night. What, I guess, similarly did you see last night as opposed to that first game against Milwaukee, which was one of your bigger victories of the first?
Well, I'm gonna have to go back and watch that Milwaukee game. That's something I'll do today is go back and watch the Milwaukee game. Look, I think last night was just overall from start to finish, and I'm assuming that Milwaukee game is going to look very similarly, just with our effort and ball movement. If I recall, I'll watch it more in detail today, but the overall effort was there for 48 minutes. The commitment to ball movement, the commitment to pace, the physicality was there, the competitive spirit is there. And, for some reason, Milwaukee brings out the best in us in a lot of those areas for whatever reason. We've brought an edge, a competitive spirit for the most part against Milwaukee. And, maybe it's just the appropriate fear we have of Milwaukee. I think it starts there. We're just the appropriate fear of, what they could do to us defensively if we're not locked in. So we've historically brought our spirit to that game. And I saw that same spirit last night against Boston. For whatever reason, our guys have taken ownership of this team. They're competitive. And I think last night's a great game to build on for these last 12.
So Rod?
Hey, JB, you mentioned a few minutes ago about Malik and LaMelo having to do some live stuff this week. I mean, you don't have very much practice time. Obviously, you have a lot of game action. So as a coaching staff, how do you kind of, figure out how to get them live ball action out there when you don't have much time practice-wise?
Sure. Well, we can do some scenarios 2-on-2, 3-on-3. We have some bodies there that will work out against, like today, the group that didn't play yesterday, Vern, Nick, Caleb, Grant, I might be missing one. That group played, with some of our video guys out there on the floor. So we're able to put a group out there that can play some live, either before a game or at practice time or shoot around. We're going to, get creative and find time to do that. I think what will be important is the transition from Wednesday's game into Saturday's game. We have a couple days there to kind of figure out where we're at, so that'll be important for us. I don't know what those 2 days will look like, but I think that's a positive break in our schedule to see what these two young men, look like and what they could look like this weekend.
And then you mentioned obviously last week about Vern kind of having to develop him. How do you balance obviously trying to make sure he gets his development with obviously trying to win now, because he hasn't played the last couple of games since you kind of pulled him out of the start lineup?
Yeah, Vern, we had a good look at Vern, and I'm going to stick with this rotation right now. We'll do our best to keep working with Vern, keep looking at him, and keep developing him as much as we can. Obviously, if we need him, we'll use him. My guess is that I'll go with Zeller now ahead of Vern, even if we need that next big. So, I think more than anything, that was a positive stretch for us to see what we had in Vern. Obviously, we're a long ways away from knowing more about him and developing him, but I think that was a good little stretch for him. Obviously, as we've done the last few games, we've gone in a different direction, and I'll likely stay there for right now.
Let's wrap up with the last question for Raphael.
Hey, Coach, Raphael from the 3-point conversion. Coach, I do understand that you're looking at it game by game, but with this stretch, with these players, have it give you an opportunity to basically, I guess in your head, say, okay, these are the type of lineups I can match up once LaMelo, once Malik and Gordon come back, as far as, putting them together now that you've seen what they're able to do in the stretch, as far as players that have been playing now?
Yeah, I have a hard time going there right now. I can't even go there, to be honest with you. I got to live in the moment, live for today and, be where my feet are. And today it's really about, looking at what we did last night, looking at the rotations last night, and preparing the game plan for tomorrow, looking at the rotation for tomorrow. Obviously, I'm thinking about those guys, and, I'll spend a few minutes thinking about if we get guys back, what that could look like. But my focus right now is on these, active young men that are ready to go now. And when those guys come back, we'll deal with it. And there's going to be complexity to it when those guys come back. I'm not going to sit here and be naive. Like, if those guys, when those guys come back, it's going to add a little bit of complexity to the rotation, no question. I can't play all these guys, so something's going to have to give there. What gives, I'm not sure yet.
And then real quick, we always ask you, what have you learned about your team during this stretch? As far as yourself and your coaching staff, what have you all learned about you all, yourselves, as far as, during this stretch and, playing these guys?
Keep it simple. Keep it simple. This is not a tricky, complex game. There's nothing tricky here. Provide them a game plan, provide them a simple game plan, go out, play hard, play the way that we have practiced and how we have designed this system. Nothing less, nothing more. Bring great effort, play unselfishly. And I think our guys have responded to that. They've responded to the simplicity, and they've done it with great aggression and unselfishness. And that's all I care about right now.
Thank you, Coach. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Send out our links for tomorrow shortly.